Welcome everyone. In this video we are going to see electrical properties of materials. Actually electrical properties comes from the atoms, because atoms have the electrons. The movement of electrons will cause us the motion in the electrons, charge particles, because of the electric field. So atom has positive nucleus charge in middle of the atom. So the nucleus has positive charge, and there is a innermost orbital electrons. Innermost orbital electrons means that the electrons will be always combined to the atom. That will not come out easily, that cannot be easily taken outside. But outermost orbitals will have roam around, that will make so electrons in innermost orbitals cannot be come out. So in case of outermost orbital electrons, there we can able to take, that will be able to use to make pair with the other atoms. So those electrons will be sometimes used as free electrons. So see here there is a metal that has atoms are aligned on that, but some electrons are able to roam around freely. Those electrons are free electrons that will actually contribute for the electric field. So that will roam around all other any directions. That has only the constant potential of atoms. Other than that, it can move around any directions, like molecules in a gas container. But if I apply the electric field, if the electric field is applied on the material, the electrons has to move to the point of positive direction. So electric field will move in a particular direction. Opposite to that field, the electrons will move. The electron will take some motion. So average that velocity will be the electron gained velocity. So there is a current flowing. So this way there is a potential difference, then electron motion will be there. So this is the idea to know how this conductivity happens in the metals. Those things has been framed by classical free electron theory. So now our aim is to make a theory for this, how the conduction happen in the conductivity material like a metals. So that we have no postulates. Postulate is that what I have told now. So first thing is that there is a large number of free electrons are there available in the material. So those free electrons, see this large number of free electrons are moving around freely in the material, throughout the volume of the material. It can move. So this free electrons will gives the conductivity. So this will gives the conductivity of the electricity. So this has normally this will be known as the moving charge will gives the current. So next point is that without any electric field, if it is freely left, what happens is these free electrons move in random directions. So there is no flow of particular current or anything. So there is a movement of charge will be there, moving of charge will be there, but it will be cancelled out. So there is no current will be measured, or there will be no current will be produced, because randomly it will move. So there is no particular direction. But with the applied electric field, as I told, that it will move opposite to the direction of the electric field. The electron will move opposite to the direction of electric field. So electrons moving velocity opposite to the direction of electric field direction. And then the velocity will be gained. That velocity is actually known as drift velocity. So the average velocity gained by the electrons is drift velocity because of the electric field. So how much electric field is there? So there is a directly proportionality with respect to the electric field to the drift velocity. So the next point is that here the free electrons motion will be like containers, gas containers will have molecules, they will move like that. So similar to that, so that it will be obeys classical Maxwell-Boltzmann relation. So the classical Boltzmann Maxwell-Boltzmann relation will be followed for the velocity distribution. So the Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution will be used here for the velocity distribution. So next case is that if the particles is moving, the electrons is moving within them, there will be collisions. So that collision time will be measured. So like the average time period between the two successive collisions, that is actually known as the collision time. So two successive collision is known as the collision time, and one more terminology is there, that is the tau c is the collision time. And similarly, we have if I remove the electric field, then the electron will take its rest motion again. So the normal motion again. That particular time is known as the relaxation time. So in case of metals, so similarly time taken for the electron to end a stable motion after removal of electric field is relaxation time. In case of metals, both collision time and relaxation time are equal. So next point is that if there is a distance travelled, the distance travelled between the two successive collision is known as mean free path. So it has been known as mean free path, mentioned as lambda. So these are the postulates which we are going to take, and we are going to study about expression for electrical conductivity of the metals. So these are the postulates. This is the idea we are going to carry for the deriving the electrical conductivity of the material. So we have a basic idea what are things happening in the atoms, the free electrons moving around, and they will provide us to that will actually provide the conductivity in the metals. So let's have an image. That image will be like we have an atoms and free electrons will be there. In metals the free electrons are there. So just we will do that with the circuit. The field is applied. So the charge will move towards the direction of opposite to the direction of electric field. So now because the electron is moving from the basic Newton's law, okay, we have a force. If something is moving, then we know that is having some force. Because of the electric field, the electrons will get accelerated. Okay, from if there is some acceleration, the motion is there, then this will be equal to from the Newton's law. Okay, from Newton's law, because it's a classical idea, so Newton's law. So Newton's law of force can be written as that too in second law, force of acting on a moving electrons. That will be written as Fma, the acceleration, mass into acceleration. So electron has some mass, then it is accelerated. That is. So from the classical electromagnetic theory, electromagnetic theory, just you will write EMT, electromagnetic theory. From there, the force can be written as charge into electric field. So both way we can represent the same force. It is not a different force; they are two are same. So 1 equal to 2. Okay. So that Ma equal to charge into electric field, the charge value of the electron into the electric field, applied electric field. So the acceleration can be rewritten as charge electric field divided by mass. So this is our third equation. Now we need to do again one more thing. So if acceleration is there, there will be a velocity. That velocity is drift velocity. Okay, drift velocity is normally written as acceleration equal to Vd by t, tau. So here our time is tau, and then Vd can be written as At. So let me write in terms of A, I can rewrite as charge into electric field divided by mass into tau. So this is the charge we had here. Sorry, this is the velocity we had here, and in terms of charge, electric field divided by mass into tau. So we need to do some more things, that is current density. If the charge is moving, then there will be a current. That current will be written as like current charge density can be written as current density written as current divided by the cross sectional area which it is flows. So J, current density mentioned as J equal to I by A. So I is current, A is cross sectional area. Again, now what is the thing is that J will be written as number of charged particles moving. So I equal to charge divided by charge moving within the time period t. So charge will be a number, how many numbers of electrons into electron charge, and the cross sectional area divided by, into the length of the material into divided by time. So the length divided by time will be our velocity, drift velocity. So Vd equal to the length divided by time. So just I can rewrite. So I by A, here we have J equal to I by A. So I by A equal to Ne Vd. So Vd we can write from the equation 4 we can write Vd, that is Ne charge electric field divided mass into tau. So now we got something like Ne square tau by m, and the electric field E. This is the case. Now we have something similar to this format. So now we can recall the basic Ohm's law. So what we are using is experimental Ohm's law, V equal to IR. So this potential can be written as electric field into the length. So the potential energy will be like force into distance, like potential can be written as electric field into length, and charge equal to current density into cross sectional area. So that we have written like J equal to IA, so I equal to J into A. So R equal to written as from the basic law the length divided by cross sectional area into the resistivity constant. So it is proportionality constant, so resistivity. So normally it will be length divided by area. If resistance will be increased by the length increases and cross sectional area decreases. So this resistivity will be in another case can be written as conductivity. Okay. So these are the things we need to rearrange to find the one more format of Ohm's law. So E into L equal to J into A rho L D. So that will be cancelled. Finally we got E equal to J into rho. So that will be written as J by sigma, because sigma equal to 1 by rho. Finally J will be written as equal to sigma E. This is another version of same Ohm's law, but this is the first version which has been found. But later only we are for our simplification we used V equal to IR. So this is a different version of Ohm's law. So from here we got something called conductivity as sigma. So sigma is, now we can compare 5 and 6. Sigma equal to Ne square tau by m. So this is the conductivity, that too the electrical conductivity of the metal. If we conduct apply the electric field, the conduction level will be depends on the time period, mass and charge. This is the electrical conductivity. Now we go and look at the thermal conductivity of metals. So we had electrical conductivity. Now it's time for us to find the thermal conductivity. Who will make this thermal conductivity also? The same free electron will contribute here for the thermal conductivity. So normally thermal conduction will happen from the heat body to the cold body, hot to cold body, the heat will flow. Here we have taken a sample such as that temperature is one side is A, that is greater than another side T minus delta T. So the conduction of heat energy per unit cross sectional area per unit time. That is we had earlier this equation from the semester, that is Q equal to K, the temperature difference, that is T minus delta dt. So that divided by the length, that is length here we mentioned as lambda, T minus delta dt. So finally it is K dt divided by lambda. So that is the heat conduction, and this K is thermal conductivity or thermal conductivity or thermal coefficient, conductivity of thermal coefficient, like that we can write. The lambda is length of the material rod, the 2 points. The difference between the 2 points will be length, that lambda. So the electron will flow from higher to lower region. So normally the electron can move in any direction. Okay, the free electron can move any directions. So that how much electron is moving is the probably 1/6. For our A to B is only one direction from all the 6 directions. So we will take the amount of charge carriers moved from A to B is the transition amount will be written as can be written as 1/6 n into V, number of charged electrons into the velocity. So how much with the velocity V. So this is the thing, 1/6 nV amount of charge will move in the from A to B. And the similar time, how much energy is transferred? The energy transferred from A to B. So in at point A, we have a kinetic energy, that is kB 3/2 kBt. So here the kB is Boltzmann constant. At B, we have same kinetic energy, that will be with respect to the temperature T minus dt. So this is the thing we had, these two terms, the kinetic energy from this point to that point, so that the energy transferred is the subtraction of these two, A minus B. Heat energy transferred from A to B equal will be written as 3/2 kB. So that we had that 1/6 nV also will be considered, and 3/2 kBt minus 3/2 kB T minus dt. So if you subtract this, the positive term, the 3/2 kBt minus 3/2 kBt will goes away, and I will get only minus dt, minus into minus plus, so plus dt. So this will cancels out with 3, 1/6 will cancel out 3/2, so 1/4 kB the const n and V dt. So this is the heat energy transferred, and there is also the deficiency of energy transferred from B to A. So that this will be opposite, how much deficiency of energy transferred. That will be same way, but from B to A. So we have to subtract from B to A. So B is 3/2 kBt minus dt minus 3/2 kBt. So this will be written as NV. So one more kB is there, dt. So as similar to that, but with a symbol, minus symbol, minus 1/4 NV kB dt. So overall energy transfer, so total energy transferred, heat conduction happened will be written as, heat energy transferred will be written as addition of this, we have to minus from QAB to minus QBA. So same thing we am writing here. So see this is simple way. So 1/2, so it will be like addition, minus into minus will become plus, so it will be added 1/2 kB NV dt. So now I got two equations. This will be written as 1 and 2. So if I compare these two, both are Q, right? K dt by lambda 1/2 kB NV dt. dt will be cancels out, then I can get the thermal conductivity as 1/2 kB NV lambda. So lambda is the length, mean free path, or length between these two. So the velocity can be written as lambda by t. So lambda equal to Vt. Finally we got something like Vt. So 1/2 kB, this thermal conductivity will be written as 1/2 kB NV square T. So this is the thermal conductivity of the same sample which has been used for electrical conductivity. So there is a one more law will be connecting these two. That law will be called as Wiedemann-Franz law. Wiedemann-Franz law will be connecting these two terms, like thermal conductivity divided by, so we have a thermal conductivity which we found here, and also we had a electrical conductivity, so that will be directly proportional to the temperature of the material. So It states that ratio of thermal conductivity K to the electrical conductivity sigma is directly proportional to the temperature T. So if there is a directly proportional, there will be a directly proportionality constant of the temperature of the metal it has. So K by sigma equal to temperature that L. This here the L is Lorentz number. So from this equation we can able to check whether we got the directly proportional temperature. So I will write what is in terms of K and what is in terms of sigma. So sigma is Ne square tau by m. So it's in there. It is Ne square tau by m. So if I write these two terms like a ratio format, K will be 1 by 2 Nv square kBt divided by Ne square tau by m. So this n will cancel, tau will cancel, the time period is same for both the cases, and v square e square those will be there, and remaining will kb m. So you see there is kb by e square of mv square. So of mv square is nothing but the kinetic energy of some particle, so our electron. So this will be equal to written as kb 3 by 2 kBt. From the thermodynamics it will be equal to 3 by 2 kBt. So I can write this K by sigma as now a simple format 1 by 2. 1 by 2 will be replaced by 3 by 2 kBt, now kb square by e square into t. So that's all we had here. So it is directly proportional to some constant into temperature. So the constant is L. So theoretically we found this L value that kb square by 3 by 2 kb square by e square. So this value will be written as so this is constant. Okay, so this value can be substituted, kb value, e value, that will be written as 1 by 1.12 × 10⁻⁸. So the unit is volt ohm per Kelvin, per Kelvin square. So this has been found by the theoretical value, but if we do the experiment and we found the 2 times of the same Lorentz number, that is 2.28 × 10⁻⁸, the same unit. So this way we got the classical free electron theory. So these are the things we found for the classical free electron theory. So here some of the advantages are there. So success is that it can able to verify the Ohm's law, and it explains thermal and electrical conductivity as we have derived here. Okay, in our whole term we have derived that expression of thermal conductivity and electrical conductivity, and we can able to verify with some amount of there is some small error in there like 2. So Wiedemann-Franz law was also derived, like K by sigma directly proportional to time also will be derived by the classical free electron theory. The CFT is classical free electron theory. And other things are that we are not studied is optical properties of metals can be explained. So from the classical theory that also explained. So these are the not end of the story. There is a failures that this cannot be explained. So we have studied for only the metals. So we don't know why the insulator is not conducting, the semiconductor is why that is a partial conduction in the semiconductor. Those are the things has to be explained, but from the classical free electron theory couldn't explain those things. It is not able to tell why the insulator is not conducting. Those things cannot be explained, and some more things like a photoelectric effect, low temperature specific heat phenomena are not explained from the classical free electron theory. And this Lorentz number, this ratio also, K by sigma T is constant, but at low temperature it's not a constant. At low temperature is not explained in classical free electron theory. And also the magnetic properties like ferromagnetic, paramagnetic transition, those things also not able to explain through by the classical free electron theory. So these are the end of the story for this class. Thank you all.